Welcome to my world.
Hello, all you great people out there being live in this stream, and hello also to the people watching the replay on YouTube or on Facebook. I'm Jörg from Germany, and today I am really honored to have a great guest coming from USA, from North Carolina, and his name is Terry vunCannon. He is a absolutely master on the lap steel guitar, and just to bring you a little bit into that sound and a little bit into a good mood, let me play a few tunes on this resonator guitar for you. And here we go. Here we have Terry and me. Hey, Terry, how are you?
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. Really, thank you.
It's such a great honor to have you here on the show.
How is the weather there in Germany?
Oh, it's really warm today. It's a really nice day. And I spent the whole day in the downstairs in the basement in my studio, but my girls were outside grilling in the sun. How's the weather over there?
We've had a real warm week, as high as the 80s, even hit 90 one day, a couple of days this week. And today it was actually down in the 60s. So we're still getting the back and forth of going into springtime, summertime. And it's been unusually cold spring.
Oh, okay. Here's the same.
Warm weather coming.
Yeah, and there will be the spring switch on. Then you have the summer.
Yep.
And in September, the summer spring will switched off the switch.
Oh yeah.
We'll have the winter.
And everybody always has festivals and outdoor gigs. And in September, October, it's a real poker game because it could be 80 degrees at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, or it could be in the 60s. And anything from 65 or lower outdoors here in the USA can be miserable with a little wind blowing, the sun goes down. I used to have a saying, a little joke that I may have been born in the 50s, but I don't want to play in the 50s.
Okay.
Your fingers don't work.
So it seems you're not freezing to death there in North Carolina?
No, even in the 60s or 70s, early morning, it'll probably get into the 70s comfortably this afternoon. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And you are on temperature, on working temperature to show us something and your great instruments and your great tunes you are doing.
Yes, I'll tell you anything you want to know, and probably more than you want to hear. So
you have all the answers to a question that's never been asked.
Anything. It's an open book.
That's so cool.
Now I have my main player right here. It's a vMuse lap steel that I make here in North Carolina. The wood is African mahogany, and we bring it in, let it cure, cut it, shape it. It's got an aluminum fretboard that's powder coated, completely black. And as you can see, the lines in it, we laser cut where we want the lines.
I'll set you to the solo layout. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And you notice the little stair steps going up through here. That goes from 1 octave, low E, to high E, and then starts over. So you've got a visual octave every 12 frets. Kind of help you keep your place while you're playing. Anybody that doesn't know, a lap steel, the strings are set very high, so you never touch your fingers to the fret. It's set way too high for that, unlike a regular guitar that you play slide on. And you always use a bar, usually a metal bar. I have a ceramic bar right now to mimic a glass sound. And then you slide on the strings like you were just doing. like so.
That sounds so beautiful. I just tried a little bit, not using my the slide, my bottleneck. I'm usually using a brass one instead of a chrome or a glass one. For me, it sounds better, but as you told, the difference between the strings and the neck is very high on your lap steel things, and the biggest problem in playing a round neck resonator guitar is to dampen down with your index finger and using the bottleneck on the small finger.
Yeah.
And that's a real issue.
Now, for lap steel and dobro, you muffle behind the bar. So you've got it muffled behind. And I also use the right hand, this part of my hand here, where you're picking, and you can muffle out.
For dampening.
And even that rock and roll. So within the three fingers, for me, I keep them pretty busy.
Yeah. But you have some other instruments also to show us.
I do. The first one I'll show you is an acoustic instrument, and I actually have a couple of these. This is a parlor-sized square neck, a Wahoo. And a Wahoo was a company that made student instruments in the 1930s. So that will make this thing over 85 years old. And it's a square neck, strings raised very high.
Yeah.
But it just has a beautiful sound.
Hello out there to Galaxy 107 FM. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Grant.
Oh, hello, guys. New Zealand on board. But I really like this one a lot. Actually had to have some repair work on it where a couple of the seams were splitting after 80 years, but it's good to go. And this one has a sound hole pickup in it, so I can actually do some stuff live. The other one is a little more fragile than this one. I never carry it out of the house, but they're identical. You look at them other than the pickup, you can't tell any difference in them.
Yeah.
And then I have a dobro also, and I didn't bring the dobro in here. And
but I'm sure this lady looks much better than I will look in the age of 80.
Now, this is one of my prizes. I'll show you this one. This is a very rare Fender String Master.
Let me set you to the solo layout so that the people can have a look at it. Wow.
And it is a 6-string D6, 2 necks with 6, which the regular production models were 8-string. And you had to special order, I found out from a Fender salesperson, that the 6-string String Masters were special order only. So there are less than 200 of the D6s in the world.
Wow.
And I've been lucky enough to own 2 of them. This one I owned years ago and actually had to sell it to pay rent. You know, being a musician is not always easy. And
for sure.
Later on, my wife, Janice, who I refer to as my muse, she chased this thing down with the dealer and bought it back for me for a Christmas gift. So it will never leave my hands again until it goes into some estate sale. I guarantee that. But with two necks, you can tune one neck into an open G or an open D and tune the other neck into open E or C6 or something like that. And during a show, you wouldn't have to completely retune if the set list lays out right. And but I've actually we actually took this one to Memphis, Tennessee one year when a band was competing in the International Blues competition. And so I've actually played this one in Memphis on Beale Street, which was a big highlight for me.
Somebody is asking us, and did you see the banner? Oh, wow, how do you play that amazing? Guess somebody wants to hear how that lady sounds.
The Fender?
Yeah.
Let me see what it is. I haven't even checked the tuning, but we'll see how this thing's holding up.
Tuning guitars is absolutely overrated, Terry.
I know. And you can hear it pretty much sounds like the other one, but it does have a little more snap.
Yeah.
So it's got that real Fender sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one with the Fender sound is great. We may have talked a little bit, you and I, a week ago. I actually play with some of the slant bar technique.
Yeah, in an angle.
When you're playing slide on the guitar, a lot of times you're playing across the fret.
Yeah.
Perfect, straight. Now, with a lap steel, you can slant the bar to hit not just notes in the same fret, but different notes. And what you get with that technique is like, here's your A voicing. And then if you start slanting the bar, and one of the first people to do this was the steel player for Hank Williams Sr. And he would do some stuff like... And that's the reason that people went on years later to actually create pedal steel. Because people couldn't do everybody couldn't do the slant bar. So they actually hooked cables to the individual strings that would tighten or loosen the string and give you that sway.
Ah, that is the secret. I see, yeah.
And then when they added any volume pedal to it, you got that pedal.
That swell sound, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Now, I never really use a volume pedal, although I own two of them. And would probably have to use a volume pedal if I played this one live more, because it only has one set of volumes right here. And over here, you wouldn't have a volume on this neck. But I can show you real quick.
Hello, Paul. We have one of my past guests in here. It is Paul from Argentina. So we have one guy watching us from Argentina. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul. Glad to have you. Now, here I've gone back to my vMuse, where I have the volume right here, right below the string. And with it...
so that you can make those swell sounds.
And that gives you your... And I really love the volume swells a lot.
Yeah.
I use that in a lot of my playing.
So you can make it crying and whining. That's so
It's
cool.
almost like a female voice.
Absolutely.
Like so.
Really nice. And just as you said the keyword of female voice, the following message appeared. Look.
Sleepwalk. Ah, he likes that one.
Barbara. Here's the next wish. Can you play walking?
Yep. Interesting story behind that song.
Yeah, tell us.
That song, my wife and I wrote together, and she's another reason I call her my muse. We were working on a project for a local college to raise money and awareness for the homeless situation here in North Carolina, Greensboro. And it was organized that songwriters were gathered, and I think they picked either 10 or 12 songwriting teams. And we were assigned a homeless person in the program, and our job was to interview our homeless client, take notes, hear their story, and then go away and write a song about it. And Shannon was our subject that we were teamed up with, and he had been homeless since he was 7 or 8 years old when his father became homeless.
Okay.
And so they took him and put him into the adopting programs and things like that. And he would run away from his adopted family and go find his father and try to live on the streets with his father. So that went on for years until he got to be 18 years old. And then he was aged out of the adoption programs. And later on became homeless as an adult. And he walked everywhere. Thusly, the I'm walking. That song talks about a makeshift tent that he calls home, is the white tent that he lived in. He had two things that he had, material things from his mom and dad. He had a silver cross around his neck that his mother had made. And the song talks about this makeshift cross around my neck. And his father, all he had from his father was a picture ID from a halfway house where he had been homeless years before. So we tried to incorporate different things like that into the song. And the project called The Healing Blues was probably 2014, 2015. And the last I heard, it had raised close to $20,000 between the CD, which our song was one of about 12 songs. And the money went to help homeless.
Absolutely cool. Great thing. Well,
it was a good little time in our life. Yeah.
I prepared a little banner. So for our watchers and for the people who are watching the replay, you can see the banner down there. If you want to hear, no, not if you want to hear Terry's music, have a look at Terry vunCannon anywhere on the internet and on Spotify and on where are you to find? Where can we find you?
It's easy to find me. I only maintain the Facebook page for myself, Terry vunCannon. The only other website I have is for the vMuse guitars. But if you'll Google my name, Terry vunCannon, vunCannon, I come up on YouTube, Reverb Nation, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes. It's all out there. I've been very lucky with my music landing in other countries from here in the USA, which was a huge surprise. But I think part of that may be because all the music I started when the shutdown hit, putting out single songs. And all of them are lap steel based instead of guitar. I used to be a guitar player and became infatuated with the lap steel. And for about 10 years, I played lap steel and guitar, and then made a decision about 3 or 4 years ago to just hang up the guitar and play lap steel only. And it's a kind of a fun challenge because there's so many guitar players everywhere. And lap steel, not so many. I mean, you look at bands like Larkin Poe, Robert Randolph, who's mainly known as a pedal steel player, but he plays a lot of lap steel these days. David Lindley, who used to play with Jackson Browne for that classic sound on Running on Empty, which was the lap steel, which is one of my favorite. And David Lindley was my inspiration. I fell in love with his attack and his tone. And then he used to do a song with El Rayo X, Mercury Blues, where he really took it to another step with distorted lap steel. And things like that. And of course, Jerry Douglas does stuff on the dobro nobody can do. So he's more or less the king of dobro in my mind.
And in my mind, you are the king of the lap steel.
Oh, you humble me. Thank you. I'm just a hacker. Technically, I'm not an accurate lap steel player because of my history of being a guitar player.
Guitar player, yeah.
And what I do, a lot of my playing is me trying to fit in with the bands I've worked with and the music I play. And my knowledge as a guitar player, a lot of the stuff I try to do is to fit in. And when I go to jams and play with people I've never met before or something like that, they'll say, well, what key do we need to play? And I always tell them, just treat me like a guitar player. Call the song, play whatever. And they'll say, well, this next song's in B flat. And I'll go, okay.
You just have to know where to start.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to get out and play, I know there's certain instruments like maybe a harmonica where if you've only got a G and a C with you in your shirt pocket or something, then you're going to be limited to those keys. And although this is tuned in an open key, like this one's tuned in open E, if somebody calls out G, I just go to the 3rd fret and try to base everything around that. Now, if I get in a situation where certain songs I want to use open strings, I have a device here that looks a little different than what you will have.
Oh, like a capo.
Yeah, this is a lap steel or dobro capo. It's actually a Charlie's capo. Charlie is a guy that lives here in America. And you set it on the strings, and then with one finger, pull this back to tighten it.
Or to lose it. Yeah, I see.
And see, like I can do this right here.
Can you go a little bit backwards?
Oh, yeah. See, now I've got it on. Let's say we're doing a song in A, and I don't just want to fret up to the A. I want to use some open strings. And see there, I've got it on where it changes the tuning from E to A. And now,
Absolutely cool. That would have been one of my questions to you. When you're playing the lap steel, you need a band, but that question is already done. You don't need a band.
Yeah, and I've set out in the yard after the shutdown. It's really funny. You're familiar with the term busking?
Not really.
Busking. That's where you go out and sit on the sidewalk or on a city street and put your hat down.
Okay, yeah.
People can throw tips in for your busking. Busking. I did a series of free busk after the shutdown, where I just go out on the front yard here at the house when everything was shut down and do my free busking, where I wasn't taking money. I was just wanting people to wave or stop and listen and smile. And joggers, people riding their bicycles, neighbors were coming out on their front yard and sitting on the porch. And I would just sit and write many songs and do stuff in 30, 45 minutes, and then bring my chair inside and cool down.
To have a coffee.
A coffee, yeah. Here's to you.
Terry, should we show one of your videos now?
Lovely. That'd be great. Which one you want to go with?
Let the music make. That's all I can read here in the interface. Let the music make.
Let the music make you stand up and shout. This song. Exactly. You want me to tell a little about it, or wait till after?
Tell a little bit, so that we can enjoy it.
It's one I wanted to write with my education of lap steel music. There's a thing here on the East Coast of the United States called sacred steel.
Okay.
And sacred steel is about an 80 to 85-year-old movement that started within the Black church. And it runs from Florida up through the north. A lot of your churches, and they could find an upright piano or something like that, but it was very hard to be able to afford an organ, for the church hymns and things like that.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
So a couple of people that played lap steel started bringing lap steels into church so that when the people were doing hymns, they could add and it fit in very nice with the piano playing in church. And over time, somebody got inspired and started, and everybody in the church was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I was to see what female was singing that. And it started getting into this almost gospel shuffle.
The gospel thing, yeah.
And a lot of exaggerated things like that morphed into, over the years, sacred steel. And but it was confined to the church. If you played for outside the church, that was a no-no. And one of the guys within the church, his name was Aubrey Gent, Gent, started going outside of the church and playing for events, community centers, eventually into the nightclubs. And it was very much frowned upon at first. And, but, some people believe the whole, make a joyful noise for whoever. So it eventually got out more and more. And you're familiar with Robert Randolph, famous.
Never heard.
He was from the church when he was young, and he's toured nationwide and played with people from like Eric Clapton to B.B. King to the Allman Brothers.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
And but yeah, now this song was my effort to write something in the gospel sacred steel type rhythm, and I've got a bunch of good friends of mine, Christy Jackson, who sang on also Carolina Blue, Clay Howard, Doug Davis, Mike Thomas, who played drums with me for 20 years in a couple of bands, and Dale Cole. So we had a lot of fun getting together. They all sang together like a choir on the chorus, and just it was a fun time. So,
Okay.
And the message is, let the music make you stand up and shout.
And that will do. Here we are. Amazing track. Amazing. Did you see the message?
From Grant.
Or from Barbara? I think it's Barbara.
Okay.
How
Thank you,
did it?
guys.
How did you come to Galaxy 107 FM? What story?
I'm not sure. Just out of the blue, at one point, I get this message from Barbara, and they had heard some of my music somehow, and asked if I would be interested in some play over there and possibly an interview. And of course, I said yes. So I started
Sure.
checking them out and watching. And over the past year or more, they've played 4 or 5 of my tunes. One of the songs, "Walking," "I'm Walking," is they told me a few weeks ago was in their top 10 blues chart.
Wow.
And that song was recorded in 2014, 2015. And then all of my other ones were recorded between March of 2021. And I've never asked them how they first heard of it. But I had been throwing my distribution on the international thing. And at the time that Barbara had messaged me, I had already got my tracking device in place and had reached 61 countries around the world.
Amazing.
So I don't know if they found out from one of the previous bands I played with, and I had been with a band that's been on that show a year or two ago. But thank God they heard it.
Yes,
whoever
absolutely.
did, because they have been so good to me. And have also been playing a couple other area bands around here. They've played stuff from Smitty and the Jumpstarters. They're playing stuff from Dale Cole, which he and I are forming a band with Rick Gustalis called Dr. T that has our first gig in August. We're a little nervous about getting back out. And also, they're playing a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. And if you don't know him, you need to check him out, Bob Margolin.
Will do.
Play with Muddy Waters.
Well, that's a name that reached out into Germany too.
Yeah. I met Bob in 1990 when he was a judge for a contest, a blues contest I was playing in with a band. And for some reason, Bob and I became friends and have been friends all these years. I actually have a song where Bob and I play together on acoustics, and have been able to play and do things live with Bob over the years. And he's just a very dear friend. And they're also playing another local band here that has a huge history here in North Carolina named Broad Street. So they've opened up the North Carolina passageway to New Zealand. And it's been really good for myself and a few of my very close friends and band players around here. They're golden. You're golden now. Thank you. Because without people like you guys, what we do is so much harder. That's one positive to the internet. Is that you can, if you get your music out there, there's an odd chance that somebody in a position like you or DJ Grant and Barbara will like something, and it opens up a whole new territory to you.
Absolutely.
And it's just
you can go out and find your audience, your personal audience, which is not possible maybe locally. Here for me in Germany, it's impossible to play resonator guitar or something. There's no interest. But I can reach out on the internet and find great people like Barbara and Grant, or great people like you and like all the other great and precious artists out there.
Well, it has absolutely been amazing to me, some of the private messages and emails that I receive from places like Iraq or Iran or India. You know, Australia, New Zealand, Germany. People, I've got a couple of fans in France and England. And, you go out and play gigs, you're lucky to reach 200 people on a good night.
Yeah.
With the internet, to have, turn around and look and see where your videos are getting 30,000 watches.
Yeah.
Or you're getting people buying your singles or your album in the Middle East. It's really amazing.
Absolutely. Thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
Really.
Now, with the internet, we also get streaming, where you get
like we do now.
0.00 of a penny. But it's still, I welcome all of it. I don't care if it's Spotify or Amazon, paid play or whatever, free play, streaming. If people are listening to my music, it makes me happy.
Yeah, that's a part of, that has to be a part of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
We won't get so many money out of it, or even money out of it, but you can reach great people, and the chances to find your audience are multiplied.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm lucky. I'm a little older than you, but I was lucky when I quit college to play music professionally. And within 3 months of quitting college, I was in a working road band. And within 3 months, we were booking 6-night gigs, where we go in on Monday and play through Saturday and tear down. And here from North Carolina, we were working all along the East Coast, as far down as Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, North and South Carolina, Virginia, further up. So I've seen times when we were able to work over 200, 250. And one year in the 70s, we worked 300 gigs in a year.
Whoa.
We were all single. We were on the road. We were booking 6-nighters, and any Sundays we could get in between. Had two lead singers in the band, so we could almost survive. But never again do I want to play 300 dates in a year. It will almost kill you. There's no way to do that now with the one-nighters. That was only possible because of the 6-night runs. Does that make sense?
I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it must be a great feeling to have so many gigs, but I think it's a really hard deal to do.
Yeah, I've tried to figure it up, and I've possibly played well over 4,000 gigs in my life. But a young person of 18 years old starting right now will never see that.
Yeah.
With the one night, set up, tear down, play, set up, tear down, set up, tear down. I don't think anybody could ever reach, 3, 4, 5,000 gigs in a lifetime. It would kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, the small clubs are dying all over the world, so you don't have the possibility to play there. And I see that the difference between the really big major label stars to us small artists is very large. So in between the musicians that have to live from playing gigs live in small clubs, I don't see that there's a possibility. We will see what the market will bring, what the music will bring for us. But I guess the parole should be, let's stand it. Never surrender. Yeah.
I think the future of music depends on people getting out and playing live gigs, having T-shirts, hats, CDs, stickers, things like that to sell.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm planning when I go back out to play live gigs. I've got my CD completed, a collection of single songs. And I will be able to, add to the gig money if you can sell 4 or 5 or 6 CDs and get an extra $50 coming in a night, it helps. And now over there, what is the main vehicle for bookings and big bands? Here in America, we have Ticketmaster and Live Nation. What is in Germany for the big booking?
The big, I'm not sure. Mama concerts, maybe.
Okay, and I'm
but I
not
guess
familiar
that's
with
an
that.
English one. I'm not sure. I never was booked by a big company.
Yeah. Well, over here, if the Rolling Stones go on tour, you'll see their tickets on Ticketmaster or Live Nation, Elton John, people like that. And there was a lot of discussion after the shutdown that Ticketmaster was going to, when things opened up, they were going to make their money back by increasing their fees and their take, and which actually makes it harder on music bands to get out there. Yeah. And I've already heard rumblings that some of the shows, the big concerts that were canceled at the end of 2019 when the shutdown hit, that we've been through a year of shutdown, and now some of these acts are making preparations to tour later in September, October of this year or 2022.
Or beginning next year.
And the ticket prices are much more expensive than what the show was going to be. And I'm just guessing the artist is not going to make any more. It will be the ticket sales.
That
the
organizers.
More, which is kind of sad. In a perfect world, I would love to have seen prices stay the same, help musicians get back on their feet, but that's not the nature of money. One of my favorite quotes, are you familiar with Hunter S. Thompson?
No.
He's a famous writer, journalist, wrote for Rolling Stones magazine and stuff like that. He had a quote that said, the music business is a long, dark, plastic hallway where pimps and thieves run free and good men die like dogs. But there's also a dark side.
Okay.
Which pretty much sums up the music business and the world of ticket sales and agents. It can get very brutal. There's good ones, but there's also some very bad ones. And the bad ones hurt the music business.
Yeah, there's a quote for me to tell you. You may know it. It's a sentence out of the lyrics of Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, where Ronnie James Dio sung, "The world is full of kings and queens who blind your eyes, then steal your dreams." It's heaven and hell.
Yeah.
That's so great. And just a few days ago, I got the info, Spotify charges around 10 euros, $10 or so for their members. And from that $10, they give 1.60 to the artists. And that's really a shame.
Yeah. And I actually saw some stuff about 4 or 5 months ago where some of the people that are huge music stars, one of them that come about was one of the members from the band Chic, guitar player, was it Niles? And for years he had been in production, playing live music, writing songs and doing stuff. And when the shutdown hit, after about 3 or 4 months of the shutdown, he started checking out streaming and realized he was getting less than a penny a stream, a percentage of a penny. And he, at the time, he did an interview over in England where he talked about he was driving an Uber for extra cash.
For making his living, yeah.
Yeah. And this is a guy that had recorded and mixed stuff from everybody from Steely Dan to, Madonna level
All
stuff.
the big stars.
Yeah. And now during the shutdown, he had started noticing, well, I'm not able to tour. I'm not able to travel to other countries and go in the studio and produce. It's really starting to scare him. And so maybe during this shutdown, several large stars will realize and come up with a voice to help musicians and songwriters, because it really is tough.
Yeah. And the COVID crisis has shown us that we are all sitting in the same boat when it doesn't come to live gigs. We are all the same. And I'm absolutely sure I had a talk to a good friend of mine, Mr. Tim Steinruck from Canada. And he's absolutely sure when we sit this out, when we stand this, when we are present in the streaming and doing songs and powering on, the world won't forget us. And I'm absolutely sure this will work.
I hope so. Now, music will never die out, but it certainly has got harder to do for a living.
Absolutely, yeah. But be sure there are only two kinds of music, good and bad music. And the good music will stay. We're doing our best.
Well, and with my career, I play all kinds of music. I started out in rock and even some heavy metal. Some of the first songs I ever played in high school were Rolling Stones, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. So I started out rocking. Now, when I was 10 years old, I took bluegrass lessons on guitar. First song I ever learned was Wildwood Flower, an old bluegrass song. Then from there, got into people like Johnny Cash, Creedence Clearwater Revival. And then I heard the Rolling Stones and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath. And actually got to see Black Sabbath and Deep Purple live with the original members. And, it's been a huge education. And then through the years, I've played in absolute cover bands. We've had to fight our way through the disco scene in the late 70s, going into the 80s.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yes. And there you are with two guitars, bass drums, and a keyboard. And people are walking around in platform shoes on a lit dance floor. So I've seen a lot of changes in music, but nothing like the streaming and the current scene and this shutdown. This has been historic in the world of music. Absolutely.
It may be a new beginning of a wonderful thing. I really hope that.
Yeah, somewhere in the ashes rising up will be, and I've often wondered, who's it going to be? Who's going to be the new Beatles or the new Rolling Stones or the new Madonna? Who's going to get to the level of Elton John? It's all going to be fun to watch, but it will be different in the future. And I think a lot of people that didn't want to hear it when I talked about it a year ago are starting to realize it now.
Yeah. I'm going to power on with my radio shows. I had you in my Jørg's World radio show a few weeks ago with your Jamaican song. And at the moment, I'm doing a little radio break to get my head free, to make a little bit music, to develop new things. And after that, I guess I will start in 3 weeks. And then people out there, you'll hear some more songs made by Terry. I promise.
I'm actually working on some new stuff now. And the way I'm approaching it in the future is I play music. I'll let other people label it. Because like I say, reggae, blues, rock, be it a country influence or a jazz influence, I just like you say, there's good and there's bad.
Yeah, only two kinds of. Only two.
Yeah. And I refuse to tie myself down to one style. I just like it all. I like music.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
I've
there's
already
no.
limited myself to lap steel only. So
Okay.
now,
Yeah,
in
Terry.
you play. You must like a lot of almost Jeff Beck or Joe Satriani. It's
Yeah.
evident in your playing.
Yeah, I'm always changing between the rock and the blues and sometimes a little bit acoustic, but at the moment I try to beat guitar instrumentals, cooperating with great people all over the world, and let's see, maybe it will be my big thing. But I can tell you, it's really fun not to be in a small drawer,
Yeah.
to be free to take all those influences and take those great people with me.
Oh yeah. I've often wondered, people like Jimi Hendrix, if he hadn't died when he did, I think he would have really went on to do Motown, rhythm and blues, acoustic, rock. There's no telling what certain players would do when they get out and really flex their muscle.
Yeah. Okay, Terry, let us come to the end of the show. Do you have any message for our dear watchers out there?
Just thank you. Anybody that plays or listens to an original song, it means the world to the writer and the players. Just thank you. If you do nothing but watch a song on YouTube or listen to it on the way to work in your car, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It means a lot to musicians to know their music is reaching people. And that's about the only big thing, is a big thank you.
Absolutely amazing. That's a cool word. That's a cool message. So Terry, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. And I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
Oh, no. I could listen to you the next 10 hours or so. No
that
problem.
Wouldn't be good for anybody.
Maybe. Okay, people out there, thank you so much for watching. We have another video for you. That's Carolina Blue, made by Terry. Next week, next Sunday, if you want to, we'll have Michael Lind from Sweden. He's a project man. He's doing the Blindfold Experience, doing hard rock metal music with musicians all over the world he never met, so he told. Let's see who the heck is Michael Lind, because Terry vunCannon, I think we know who he is and that he's an absolute amazing and great person. Thank you so much, Terry, for staying here with me.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, people. Have a good time. Take care.